There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
And thus, our series, I Can't Believe You Haven't Seen That 3, The ReBelievening, draws to a close with a movie that Mike has never seen because he hates freedom, 1984's Repo Man. What you get if a punk rock song was a movie. This movie marks the beginning of the rise of star Emilio Estevez, one of the scions of the Sheen Estevez clan, and this gives me a chance to address a great injustice. Yes, Emilio was a major player in the 80s with his appearance in The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire and later in the Mighty Ducks series. Yes, his brother Charlie Sheen, he of the Tiger Blood and Adonis DNA, has had great success with Wall Street, the Hot Shots movies, and various TV shows. And, of course, their father, Martin Sheen, has been in classics like Apocalypse Now and gotten a ton of Emmy nominations for The West Wing. But I firmly believe that we need to honor the true talent of that family, Joseph Estevez, Martin's brother.
Oh, dear.
Yes, Joe Estevez, who has over 300 IMDb credits to his name and has brought us such cinematic glories as Soul Taker, Return of the Rollerblade 7, Baby Ghost, and, of course, the celluloid masterpiece that is Rollergator. Ugh. Joe, you've been overlooked too long. It's clear that the rest of the family is simply riding along on your gin-soaked coattails.
Oh, dear.
But we here at Max Mike Movies, we see you, Joe. We honor you.
Too many times.
Mike has a life-size Joe Estevez body pillow that he just can't sleep without.
I totally do not.
And I myself have almost finished my full back tattoo tribute to you, Joe, with you depicted as the Dreyfus Madonna with a baby ghost on your lap. No, you're not in Repo Man, but God knows you should have been. I'm your host, Max, motorcycle cheerleading mamas, Levine, and over there, clutching his body pillow, is Mike, Guns of El Chupacabra 2, The Unseen Loose. Praise Joe, Mike.
Have some chud.
Is he in that?
No. Well, who knows? He might be a chud. Who knows?
He could have been. He was in everything. Joe Estevez has been in some of the funniest movies ever, utterly unintending them to be. Yeah. But before we get on with Estevez Mania, we have our poll question.
Poll question.
We asked, what is your favorite horror movie and why? Harriet Roberts responds, The Changeling. Now, there's a couple of those. I'm not sure which one. I'm assuming she doesn't mean the one with Angelina Jolie as a mother who thinks her kid was kidnapped.
I don't know.
But, okay. Dr. Lauren Buxbaum says, does the Rocky Horror Picture Show count?
It's got the word horror in it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think I've ever seen one. Really? Not one. Man, I don't know how you avoid them.
That is weird.
Barbara Hudson says, appropriately, Carrie. Thank you, Barbara. We're glad to have provided you with a show on your favorite. Tyler Stewart says, The Babadook is up there. Also just saw Smile. Very creepy.
I don't know that one. I heard about the Babadook. I've actually heard it's very scary, which is why I've avoided it.
Yeah. Chuck Mock says, well, I am not enjoying this remake of The Manchurian Candidate, although I admit it is terrifying. Yeah. I think he means what's happening now.
Yeah. Although I think there was a remake of The Manchurian Candidate.
There was, with Denzel Washington.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Professor Rebecca Pelkey says, probably still a Netflix original called His House, about a refugee couple in England and the house they're placed in by the system.
Oh.
I do not know that one, unless it's His Deep House.
Oh, yes, the one at the bottom of the French Lake. I wonder if you saw that recently, but yeah. Poor Dave.
Yep. Says, I generally avoid horror flicks. My favorite, hands down, An American Werewolf in London. Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Sure.
Oh, are you kidding? Of course it is. It's a werewolf movie.
I
love the I love the Elmer Bernstein soundtrack. I always like it when he does the soundtrack. Plus, It is on the comic end of the horror spectrum. Very true.
Yep.
For Japan, it would be Crest of Betrayal, which is a version of the famous Yotsuya Kaiden story, directed by Fukusaki Kinji. Sure, I like that too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you, Dave. Regan McStravick doesn't necessarily bring in a movie, but says, fun fact, I designed/built the world's only licensed Evil Dead 2 escape room. Why? Why would you do that?
Because somebody paid him?
Well, it's like, okay, now to get out, first of all, we have to chop your hand off and replace it with this chainsaw. Wait, what?
Who's laughing now?
Nick Hoffman says, Jacob's Ladder is the only movie so scary to me that I have been unable to watch it again. Ooh, I thought that was, yeah, it's very creepy. I don't know about scary, but very, very weird. But my favorite has to be Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Brian Mundo says Train to Busan is really, really good.
I don't know that.
Zombie movie.
Oh.
The Girl with All the Gifts, too. Zombie movies have been my go-to for the past few years. You're welcome to them, dude. Eee, scary. Here's a name I don't recognize. Jen Ings.
She actually has answered before. Yep.
She has. Okay, nice to see you again,
Actually,
Jen.
to be fair, they have. I got corrected on that one.
Oh, they have. Excuse me. And Jen gives us a whole list. Brightburn. Oh, creepy as hell.
Don't know it.
Gremlins.
Whatever.
What Lies Beneath. Never saw that. Ringu.
Nope, not watching it.
No. The Omen, but the 2006 version. Oh, I did not see that.
Huh.
And we got another one for the Babadook.
Ooh.
Quite a list there,
Yeah.
Jen. Thank you. Keith Wright says Aliens, and I'm assuming Alienses. It Follows. That's supposed to be really good. John Carpenter's The Thing. The French zombie movie La Horde. Okay. Splinter. I don't remember.
He's that rat.
Slither.
He goes into the sewers and he finds those
teaches
turtles.
The turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slither. Is that like Splinter's brother?
Sure.
28 Days Later and 30 Days of Night.
Huh.
Wow. Yeah, creep fest there. And he also points out Brightburn was better than I thought it would be, and the Babadook is really creepy. I'd say the Babadook is our front runner here. Creator of that most evil device, the Tatum. Richard Tatum says, The Exorcist, Carpenter's The Thing, another thing, Don't Look Now.
Where?
Alien. And then he adds, ooh, Get Out. I assume he means the movie Get Out, and he's not just telling us to leave or, oh, get out, eh?
Well, I don't know, because it's our show, so how can we get out? He has to get out.
I don't know. Get Out is a really disturbing movie.
Didn't see it.
Matt Reisman says, I'm sure this is a recency bias. Look at him with his fancy terms. Or is it a regency bias? I see what you did. No, I don't, actually. But I really like the Nosferatu remake. I have the most extraordinary coincidence to report. A Quiet Place was very good, but it is kind of, you needed to see it in a theater movie. No thanks. Jump scares are even worse in a theater. Get Out is an impeccable film that I'd recommend to and rewatch with anyone. And, of course, from that soul-searing seat of terror deep in the crippling cold of the north, where vampire penguins drink the blood of herrings, Vince.
Do they?
I'm almost sure of it. Because I wasn't sure how to rate my favorite horror, Ringu, and the American remake, The Ring. They scared the bejesus out of me. They have bejesus in Canada? Huh, who knew?
Bahoozes?
Bahosers? They scared the bejesus out of me when I saw them, as did Alien. But I love the horror classics like Freaks and Island of Lost Souls, and come back to them much more often. Thank you, Vince.
Yeah, I would argue that Freaks isn't really a horror film.
It sure looks like it. I've never seen it, but
I have. It's actually more of a commentary. It's really about...
okay.
Yeah, I mean, he did hire people of different abilities to be in that film. Todd Browning, I think it is. But in the end, it's really the ugliness, the bad characters are the people who are fully abled, and that's the whole. Yeah, but anyway.
Okay. And what about you, Mike? What's your favorite horror movie, if you have one?
Ilsa, she would no. So it's been a while, I know. Because trust me, it's a horrible film. The problem with horror films for me is if they work really well, I never want to see them again. So, like, if Blair Witch Project, I honestly think I have never seen anything more frightening in a theater than Blair Witch. Do I ever want to see that film again? No, I do not. Are there films horror films I have seen that I do like? If you want to stretch the definition of horror film, I really like The Ninth Gate. I've watched it many times, as guilty a pleasure as that is. Well, it's got horror elements to it, right? It's got
it does.
The devil, kind of.
There's devil worship and so forth, and it's got, Johnny Depp. And I
do like American Werewolf. It's not my go-to genre, so for me, it's... Again, there was a remake of an old William Castle film called 13 Ghosts, and I think we found out through trivia of some other film we watched that it was like his daughter or his granddaughter was the one who remade it, and I actually liked that film. Yeah. And I used to watch a ton of really bad horror films in the 80s when the video stores first popped out. And they're just, big piles of latex gooey. Evil Dead 2. I'm going to go with Evil Dead 2. I love Evil Dead 2. Bruce Campbell's at his best. The film was made for $50. It's literally a remake of Evil Dead 1, but far better. That's my favorite horror film. What about you, Max? What's your favorite horror? I know you don't like them much either.
Like you, I don't like horror movies because they work on me too well. I get scared. I had bad dreams. It's bad.
Yeah.
But there are some that I really respect and some I enjoy. Alien is a horror movie.
Yep.
It's a haunted house movie, and it's amazing, and I've seen it a bunch of times. Shaun of the Dead, I think, is a lot of fun. Even though it's a zombie movie, and I hate zombie movies, it's got enough humor to keep it working, and it really walks that line between funny and scary and disturbing. And one that I respect in that it was really interesting and well-made, but just I don't think holds together at the end, is Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I think is a really interesting commentary on the horror genre and is just very self-aware and has some very weird humor elements in it, but is still creepy as hell.
What about Signs?
Everywhere a sign. Blocking out the scenery, breaking my mind.
Oh, I tripped over your glass of water. The aliens are coming. Okay.
Yeah, Signs was, oh no, doors, we're trapped.
What about the one with the trees?
We're defeated by doors.
What was the one with the trees?
Oh, The Happening.
Yeah, The Happening.
What? No.
Wait, what are the trees saying? You will commit suicide. Ooh, whoosh, whoosh.
And there's Clint Eastwood singing, I talk to the trees. From Let's Paint Your Wagon. But yeah, now that one is one of those. It's so hilarious, it's actually not at all frightening.
I actually did see another science fiction horror film that worked really well. So well that, again, I never want to see it again. It was a film called Event Horizon. I remember being really freaked out about that.
I never wanted to watch that.
That
sounded
Yeah. Let's hope you have a better question for next week, Eric. What is your better question
we'll
for
see.
After thanking everybody?
I hope it is.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Those are great answers. And as always, our hunger for them is insatiable. So we would like to know, what is a movie people can't believe you haven't seen?
Oh.
What is that movie you go, oh, you haven't seen that? What?
I have a feeling we're going to get a few Star Wars answers, I have a feeling.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's almost become a badge of honor. I know people are like, I've never seen a Star Wars film. It's like, okay, that's fine. But no, I haven't. Okay.
I'm happy for you.
Hey, one of them's good.
Oh, yeah. But we will tell you how to answer this question, in case for some reason you don't know by now, at the end of the show. Now, the facts. Repo Man.
Oh, wait.
Budget.
Repo Man? Not Repo the Genetic Opera?
Yeah. Yeah, nope, we did that already. Come on.
I thought it seemed familiar.
Yeah. No, it didn't.
Have a kidney, you have a kidney, I have a kidney, she has a kidney. That was the hit song, I'm pretty sure. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember enough, but you're probably right. Budget. This was made for $1.5 million.
Wow, okay.
Basically, movie pocket change. Box office was about 3.7. Not spectacular, but it wasn't a failure. The writer and director of this movie, Alex Cox, also wrote another movie we discussed, Sid and Nancy.
Yeah.
He is also responsible for 2009's Repo Chick, which, although it's billed as... Yeah, everyone remember that? No? How odd. It's billed as a non-sequel, but it's invariably associated with it also because a bunch of the same actors are in it as different characters. Cox shares the rights to Repo Man with Universal Pictures in such a way that neither can produce a true sequel without the other's consent.
Does Universal care?
I don't think so. He was also, for a brief time, an actual Repo Man.
Oh.
He also co-wrote the screenplay for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with Terry Gilliam.
Oh.
Now, the theme, the haunting love theme from Repo Man, is written by Iggy Pop.
Yep.
Alex Cox visited Iggy Pop personally at his apartment to explain the movie to him and ask him to do a song for the soundtrack. Iggy's career was going through a, shall we say, rough patch at that point, mostly because of his, cyberitic lifestyle, shall we say.
What does that mean?
And he needed some, sex, drugs, and maybe a little rock and roll here and there. And he needed some money and breathing space. It also helped that Cox gave Iggy carte blanche to do whatever he wanted with the song. Iggy said of this, it was like a gift from God to express myself.
Oh, cool.
Okay, sure. When the filming began, they only had one 1964 Chevy Malibu. It was stolen 2 days into filming. Forced the film crew to scramble to find a replacement. They did. And then a few days later, the original was recovered by the police undamaged. Which was lucky because about a day later, Fox Harris, who didn't really know how to drive, he's the guy who plays Jay Parnell, the one-eyed man.
Oh, that's his name.
In the
Jay Frank.
Yep. Severely damaged one of the Malibus by accidentally plowing it into a gasoline pump.
Ooh.
In the car wash scene, one of the gas pumps is clearly severely dented and busted up.
That one, huh?
That's the one. Yeah. Now, this movie has only one moderately big name in it, and that is Harry Dean Stanton. Nobody knew Emilio Estevez. He'd done like 4 movies. Harry Dean Stanton, who I think is wonderful, is apparently a tad difficult to work with.
Oops.
For example, he wanted to do a baseball-type signal to Emilio Estevez in a scene where he had to show him where to park a car. Alex Cox, a notorious sports hater, refused the suggestion. According to Alex Cox himself, Stanton lost his temper and screamed, "I've worked with the greatest directors of all time, Francis Ford Coppola, Monty Hellman. You know why they're great? Because they let me do whatever the F I wanted." Okay.
Ouch.
For the first couple of days of filming, Stanton refused to learn his lines. He said that Warren Oates read his dialogue in 2-lane blacktop off of note cards stuck to the dashboard, so he should be able to do the same. Cox overcame this obstacle by informing Stanton that refusing to learn the lines was in breach of the SAG contract, which may or may not have been true.
Well, it certainly doesn't apply to certain other actors that we can name today through your earpiece.
After that, he memorized everything perfectly after that.
Cripes.
No special effects were used to make the Chevy Malibu glow while parked at the repossession lot.
Nope.
Instead, the car was completely coated with 3M reflected paint at an approximate price of $600 per bucket.
Ooh.
Xander Schloss, who plays Kevin the Nerd, that's how he's listed, one of Otto's friends, ended up joining the punk band Circle Jerks after the production ended. They play on the soundtrack and appear in the movie as the lounge act that Otto, quote, "can't believe I used to like," unquote. When he's for some reason called an Asimov character, is in the phone booth using a coding device to talk to Layla, his dialogue is played backwards. He scrambled voices reciting a poem from Alice in Wonderland. Bud tells us of the repo code. "I shall not cause harm to any vehicle nor the personal contents thereof, nor through inaction let the vehicle or the personal contents thereof come to harm." This is a paraphrase of Isaac Asimov's first law of robotics.
Okay. Sure.
Yep. Agent Rogers, by the way, Agent Rogers is spelled normally Rogres, but there's a Z on the end of it for some reason.
She's an alien.
Yeah. She's supposed to have a cybernetic metallic arm. Due to the low budget of the film, the producers were unable to come up with a convincing prop arm, as you may have noticed.
I did.
Her arm in the film appears to be nothing more than a glove made of metallic threaded cloth, which it was.
My glove, the cow took my glove.
The cheap effects confused numerous viewers as to why the other characters in the film were so fascinated by the glove.
And doing other things with the glove, which, yeah.
The gunplay in the store was filmed in a certain way due to concerns about an MPAA pushback on violence. The scene is pretty bloody, but Alex Cox makes sure to film ketchup bottles exploding in the foreground, so it's never clear whether the red stuff on view is blood or ketchup.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't tell exactly. I thought that it was merely violence against condiments, so I'd felt safe as a movie viewer.
God, you weren't triggered? You don't need a safe space?
I see what you did there, and it hurt.
Yeah, yep. Pox Harris couldn't drive a car, as I said, a complication that led to many composite body double shots becoming necessary. First day he showed up, he promptly drove the car into a bridge. Subsequent scenes made him so nervous he'd break out into hives. The opening scene is one such composite, made up of shots completed on different days, with Alex Cox doubling Harris where necessary, and Cox's bike mechanic Varnum Honey playing the cop.
So why did we need to keep him? I mean, it literally could have been anybody.
I don't know. He must have worked cheap. Amid the confusion surrounding the glowing Chevy, you can hear Bud saying, "I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees." That's a quote usually attributed to the Mexican revolutionary Emiliano Zapata.
Emilio Estevez, what?
Yeah. Light gives Otto a book called Diuretics to help change your life. I think we can guess what that's a reference to. L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics.
Diuretics, that's disgusting.
I know.
At least they spell
you
it
notice
different.
I did not notice this, but it's true. All of the Repo Men except for Otto are named after beers.
Oh, no, hadn't.
Yep, there's Bud, there's Light,
There's
Miller.
God.
Oli I didn't get, or Ollie, O-L-Y, but it's at slang for, there was a beer called Olympia beer.
Oh.
So give me an Oli. That's Olympia beer.
Okay.
The song that Otto sings as he walks away from the train tracks and drinking beer is TV Party by Black Flag. I did not know that.
Didn't know. I knew it was a punk song, just didn't know which one.
Yeah. An alternate ending was planned but never filmed. Otto was to join a group of South American revolutionaries. The other alternate ending had the entire city being annihilated in a nuclear explosion, which I'm guessing was too expensive.
Yeah.
In addition to his appearance on a TV screen in the Art Remnants segment, executive producer Michael Nesmith, yes, that Michael Nesmith, has a non-speaking cameo as the rabbi who approaches the glowing Malibu with Reverend Larry.
Oh. I missed
He's
him.
unrecognizable because of the fake beard.
Honestly,
yes,
without the hat, I can never tell it's him, because he's in Tapeheads, too, and I would never have recognized him.
The photo of the aliens that Layla shows to Otto, which is thought to be of some sausages, actually depicts condoms filled with water and dressed in grass skirts.
I see.
Like you do.
I know what it really was.
Mm-hmm. When Light and Otto are working together, they break every rule of Bud's repo code. All of the products used in the movies are generic.
Yep.
Noticeable for their blue stripe on white packaging and black text. I always thought it was an olive green stripe.
It was the real generic, because they would have gotten in trouble with the generic brand.
I'm getting to that. Yeah, the filmmakers were satirizing a real-life growing trend in American grocery stores at the time. Because of the sluggish 1980s economy, actual generic white packaged foods were popular. Oh, I see. The blue stripe scene in the movie is taken from a real-life blue stripe generic beer can that was sold by Southern California's Ralph's. No, prices are lower prices than Ralph's. The filmmakers chose to mock this as showing how banal American life had become in the 80s, including making up their own product like food, meat-flavored, dry gin, and drink. That was my favorite. Can of drink. Because these products had no advertising and quietly left supermarket shelves by the 90s, a lot of modern viewers think that Alex Cox made this up. He did not. What did you have to say about it?
Well, I remember a certain person who ran a certain game that involved role-playing and dice. At one point, a piece of treasure was a white-bladed chopping implement with a olive green stripe on it and the word sword printed on it.
I can't imagine who you mean.
You.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a ton of other stuff
Yeah.
about this movie. Oh, there is a Star Trek connection here, which
Really?
I didn't recognize the actress until I saw the name in the credits.
Oh.
The woman listed as Repo Wife number 2.
Okay.
Is Angelique Pettijohn.
Oh, gods, I know who she is.
Yep.
I will look up into the lights at the night sky, Jim Kirk, and I will think of you.
Yep.
And why are you leaving me here with this Galt guy with the neck things and the quatloos? Why are you leaving me here again? No room on the ship,
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. One of the original Kiss. What is Kiss?
Oh, gods. Yeah, the Gamesters of
The Gamesters of
Triskelion.
Triskalia.
Oh, boy. Triskelion.
Star Trek The Old Show.
As soon as you said the name, I knew who she was, but it's like, oh, God, she's in this. Okay.
It's a hard name to forget.
Yeah.
Like I say, there's a ton of other stuff, but I think that's plenty.
Go ahead, tell us the story. I want to hear the story.
Okay. Well, this is a pretty straightforward story. Young Otto, Emilio Estevez, is a white suburban punk, angry at everything and not sure why. He has no future. He just lost his crappy job at a supermarket. What's a boy to do? Why, get recruited/dragooned into the life of a car repossessor, or Repo Man, by none other than Bud, Harry Dean Stanton. Pretty much at random. Hey, if Harry Dean Stanton tells you to repossess a car, you repossess a car. And so, Otto has a new career. Meanwhile, in another plot of the movie, a mysterious Chevy Malibu driven by J. Frank Parnell is heading toward the city. Nothing odd in the trunk of the car. I mean, what's it going to do? Disintegrate a curious highway patrolman? Well, yes. Because in the trunk are the bodies of 4 dead aliens out of Roswell. Well, duh, obviously. Various blonde yet shadowy government folks are after the car, as is every Repo Man in town when it turns out there's a $20,000 bounty on the car. In yet another plot, 3 of Otto's friends, acquaintances, punks he knows, have formed a gang and are now committing very poorly thought out crimes. Believe it or else, all these plots do converge, involving car chases, gunfights, death by radiation, and the least erotic backseat sex scene in automotive history. Does any of it make sense? Do we care because the soundtrack is awesome? Let's see how intense we can get.
The film.
So, had you seen this before?
No, if I'd seen it, it wouldn't make it into this series, now would it?
I know, I was a setup.
I've been set up by you far too many times.
This is true.
No, it's one of the things that used to appear constantly on the rotation at the Harvard Square Theater. It was a very popular film there. I would say a good chunk of its take probably came from Harvard Square.
Very likely, very likely.
And I know I think a couple of other friends really liked the film. I just never got around to seeing it. I knew it was about a punk. That's what I knew.
This is one of those movies, by the way, where, well, let's get to the cast.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say that the soundtrack is a character, but let's talk about the actual human characters. We start off Harry Dean Stanton as Bud.
He's Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton has been around forever.
Yes.
Yeah,
And-
he's playing Harry Dean Stanton.
And he looks like he's been around forever.
He has.
Yeah.
He has. He looked weathered when he was 5, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. He's fine.
And he does a fine job as Harry Dean Stanton.
Yeah. I don't know anybody who plays Harry Dean Stanton quite as well as he does.
Yep.
So.
Yep, he knocks that role out of the park. He's got that quiet, weird intensity about him that you think, okay, this guy could go either way.
Yeah.
You know,
And
but with,
he does, but
And then we have, of course, Emilio Estevez.
you know,
nephew of the great Joe Estevez.
And I can't remember what the reason is why he kept the name and the Sheens didn't, and blah, 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 blah. It's a marriage thing, whatever.
There are a bunch of theories. One of them is he actually just liked having the initials EE.
Oh. Cummings.
Yeah.
He's fine. I believe him as a punk. He seems angry all the time. I don't think he's exactly a perfect representation of a punk. I think that he's very much a suburban white punk, and he definitely realizes...
That's what he calls himself.
Yeah, and he definitely realizes that he's, a little better off than most, although his home house isn't that great. He's fine. I think he plays the part fine. I think the part wanders, shall we say. I don't think he does, but I think the part wanders all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fine. I don't know if have you ever seen Emilio where you didn't think he was at least decent?
Well, yes. Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, yeah, but okay, remember who the director was.
Yeah, but he was, in that he's just like, I'm not even going to try.
Well, because apparently Mr. King was on was powdered sugar.
The wrong track?
Powdered sugar. He was very addicted.
A lot of powdered sugar. Okay. Too many donuts. Got it.
Yeah, he's fine. He's totally fine. I don't think this is his standout role, but I can also see punk representation, if you want to go there, is a thing, but whatever.
This was right before he started breaking out with the John Hughes movies.
Yeah.
Tracy Walter as Miller, better known as, oh yeah, that guy.
I only know him
Tracy Walter's been in everything.
I only know him from one thing. He was the thief in the second Conan movie. And
yes, he was.
I gotta say, his line delivery borders on terrible. He never feels like a person. He always feels like somebody who's having to dub himself again and not very well.
Oh, I don't know. I kind of liked him as sort of the savant idiot.
He's not really a savant. I was going to say.
That's what I mean.
You can just stop an idiot. Except it turns out he's not an idiot.
By the way, you do know him from somewhere else, too. He was Bob in the Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton Batman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, he's one of those guys going, oh, yeah, he was in that? Really? A lot.
I mostly know him as the thief from Conan, and his dubbing in that was terrible. He's whatever.
Oh, I see his dubbing in that. I thought you meant
his dubbing. Oh, I don't even know if he's dubbed in this. He just feels like he's dubbed. I don't think his line delivery is good, but yeah.
We have Olivia Barash as Layla.
Sure.
She's confusing, but okay. I mean, she sort of changes, but it fits the movie, I gotta say.
I guess.
There's Cy Richardson as Light.
Sure.
Again, there are a lot of characters, and a lot of them are very brief.
I mean, who else is worth mentioning, really? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not many, really.
This is not an actor's film.
This is not an actor's film at all.
No. Yeah. The only one I had recognized is the guy who played Pletchner, Richard Forangi. I remember him. If you look at his picture on IMDb, they show him as a guy from an episode of MASH, and that's the only place I know him from.
Who did he play on MASH?
I think it was just a random. What are they called? MP. Like that's it in one episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, for the time and really for now too, there's nobody in this movie. Stanton is the biggest name, and he's B-list. Come on.
Yeah.
He's never won an Academy Award. He's won a few others, but yeah, this was a risky movie in a lot of ways, even if with a low budget.
Yeah. So where was the first time you'd seen it?
First time I saw it, I'm afraid, was on videotape.
Oh.
About 2-3 years after it came out.
Huh. Not at the Harvard Square Theater.
Oh. It was not.
Have you seen it since then?
No, I have not. Even though I've been quoting it for years. I mean, I remember our friend Dan used to always say, put it on a plate, son. You'll enjoy it more.
Well, and let's talk just briefly about that whole generic food thing. It really was a thing, and I wouldn't say it was popular. What I would say was it was a very large, cheap source of food, and it was also plainly obvious if you ever tried any of it that it was factory seconds. Like, oh, it's Kraft macaroni and cheese Junior, or this was
Kraft macaroni and cheese where they got the wrong dye in the noodles.
Yeah, and none of it was good. But it was a very interesting choice and an interesting development for the 80s. And their inclusion of it here being everywhere, I actually think it was a very poignant thing for the time. And if you didn't know about it, you would totally they just didn't want to do product placement. You wouldn't get it. But it really was the point where everything just felt, in the 80s, there were points where everything just felt manufactured and flavorless and generic. So I get that comment on the times.
The character Kevin, who we see here and there, who's basically Otto's, I don't know, sidekick.
He seems to be his roommate, maybe. I can't even tell.
I can't tell.
I guess he lives at home though, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Because initially we see him at the supermarket, and I think, oh, he's a guy that Otto works with and hates. But then they end up at a party together, and They seem to be
And they end up
buds.
hanging out together at a couple of points. Was it just me, or did he have a sort of Napoleon Dynamite energy about him?
A lot of Napoleon, and I don't know if I used the word energy.
Well, he had the look and he had the mannerisms.
Yeah. I don't understand his point, the character's point. I actually thought he was originally part of the quote-unquote establishment at the supermarket, and as such, he represented what Otto was rebelling against. And okay, let's get there. I think that's part of the metaphor of the generic food and stuff is the punk anger and the punk attitude, the rebelliousness of them. They were just angry. They weren't necessarily angry at anything in particular. I don't mean a lot of the punk bands who had political agendas. I mean, there was just this sort of undercurrent of, I'm pissed at you guys because stuff in the 80s.
Well, they had reasons. In the 80s, the economy was not doing well. At least not for lower and working class people.
Yeah.
This was the era. This was Reagan's era, the era of trickle down economics, which proved to be an absolute disaster.
Oh, but they're going to keep
And you
trying.
had a lot of unemployment, a lot more poverty. You had the AIDS crisis. There was a lot of anger, but the problem was they couldn't just focus it on him. It was on everything. There was just this undercurrent of it, and that's what punk rock tapped into.
Well, to be fair, things like the AIDS crisis hasn't really happened yet. That would be later. Because this is what, 83, 84?
It's 84.
So it hadn't become widely publicized till like 85
There's
and
certainly
later.
no reference. There's no sign of it in the movie, certainly.
No, I honestly think Otto is just angry at the 80s. I think and I think he
And
even
why wouldn't you
understands
be?
that. Well, and I think that's part of the point of his character is that he's angry and he doesn't even really know why. He just is. It's like, should he be handed something on a silver platter? He's not even sure he deserves that. Because he looks at his folks, and his folks were supposed to hand him money, and they don't. But that's the one thing that he's not even that angry about. He's like, "Oh man, you gave away my $1,000." He doesn't like
Because he's not surprised either. Yes, because they gave it away to Reverend Larry. He was a TV preacher. That was another big rise in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been around. The TV preachers have been around since TV existed.
Yeah.
But the ones who began begging for money, that was a big thing in the 80s.
Well, and
I do love, at least he's up front.
Yep.
I do want your money because God wants your money.
I was going to say, it brings the point up that I said this movie is better with headphones because a lot of stuff like that is being said in the background, and I don't know if maybe you weren't wearing headphones.
I had the subtitles on.
Oh, okay. And so stuff like that you can admit because he starts off just as a regular televangelist, is like, oh, God wants you to watch my show, and some people have called in and said, hey, you're just doing this because you want my money, and yes, I do, and then it goes worse and worse. Send me all your money, all your money, and then you see the parents are literally hypnotized, and they have in fact sent him all their money.
Yep.
So.
Really. Mortgage your house. Send me the money. He literally tells people to mortgage their house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some subtle, pointed commentary going on in this film. It's just blink and you'll miss it, or don't have your subtitles on or your headphones, and you could miss it.
Some of the background stuff on the radio is so odd. We do know that strange creatures are on the increase. What?
Well,
there's a public service announcement about strange creatures. Oh, it's so furry. Let's pet it. No, you don't want to do that.
Well,
it's like, what?
There was a couple of quotes in here I just like that are just thrown out there for nothing. It happens sometimes. People just explode. Natural causes. What?
Yeah.
Or there's one point where one of Otto's really badass punk friends decides that their next caper is going to be, let's go get sushi and not pay. It's like,
that's it. Let's go do some crimes. Yeah, let's get sushi and not pay.
Yeah.
That was another very quoted line.
There's also just stuff written in the background that I can't tell if it actually just happened to be there or they did it on purpose. There's one point where there's a diner. It's near the end of the film, and two of the rival repo guys have finally got the
Rodriguez brothers.
Yeah, and so you can see in the window there's a sign that says Plate-O Shrimp Lunch Special. And it's like Plate-O Shrimp. There's not even an apostrophe. It's just Plate-O Shrimp.
But do you notice there's a tie-in? Because earlier, Miller, the crazy one, is talking about cosmic unconsciousness. And he says, you'll be thinking about a plate of shrimp. And all of a sudden, someone will say plate or shrimp and plate of shrimp.
I actually did forget that. So, yeah. There's some weird, fun little things in the background of this film. And of course, whatever you think the film's going to be about, the beginning of the film where we see somebody who I thought was Dennis Hopper at first get pulled over and then have the cop be melted by the trunk. You're like, oh no, I have no idea what's going to happen in this film.
Yeah, that's a big shock.
You think Tarantino got the idea of the what's in this case from this, what's in this trunk?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. This movie was an inspiration for a lot of people.
Yeah, but
a lot of people cite it as an influence.
But to be fair, we know what's in the trunk. It's a four-dicked alien. They tell us this early in the film.
It's 4 dead aliens.
She says dicked. 4-dicked aliens. That's what we're looking at.
Oh, I thought it was 4 dead. I don't know. Maybe I misheard.
I heard it as 4-dicked aliens, and that, quite honestly, because but
or when Parnell's talking about radiation. Eyes melt, skin explodes, everybody dead.
Oh, that
weird sing-song.
That one's been quoted by friends of ours forever and ever. So, what do we think about the character of Otto?
He's an odd one. He's in a lot of ways utterly unlikable. But he has some decent. There are impulses that he knows that he should follow. When Light starts shooting at this guy in a house, like, you can't just shoot into somebody's house. He doesn't know why you can't shoot into somebody's house, but on some level, he just knows that's true.
Well,
I just think he's so numbed and he's just so pissed off that all of his, as they say, better angels have been silenced. When he finds Parnell in the car, and he actually finds the Malibu, and Parnell dies. Not even sure he knows he's died. Otto isn't like, I'll check his pulse, he hauls him out of the car, dumps him on a bus bench, and leaves. Yeah, because he's got the car he wants.
Well, and I guess it's the government that put out the bounty on the car, because we don't even know. It has to be. Because we just see a bounty, a printout, if you will, of it being worth $20,000. So, and then there's we have this rival repo gang, which I don't even understand what the point of them is, because initially it's somebody for Harry Dean Stanton to hate. And he tells, these guys are Rodriguez brothers, and then they screw them over. But then at the end of the film, things really come apart, and Otto is working with them as they try
Well, they actually rescue him.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on there. Of course, by that point, I think, have they killed all of the other guys at the repo yard? I think they have.
No, not yet. I don't think. I think that came later.
The film kind of unravels, and I think also Otto's identity unravels as well. As soon as he puts on that tie, we realize that he's not as punk as he wants everyone to think he is. I mean, to be fair, we see his friends who are quite honestly really horrible and much more punk-like. It's obvious he doesn't fit in. I mean, his best friend, who's played by Dick Rude.
Yep.
Now there's a punk name if ever.
Yep.
So he's been in jail, and apparently Otto has visited him while he was in jail. And the first thing that Dick Rude does, I know that's not the character's name, is he sleeps with Otto's girlfriend, and they basically flip him off and go off to do crimes, which Otto is never a part of.
Debbie.
So Otto, again, he's a punk, but I think he wears it like that little upside down cross earring. I don't think it really.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. He's just more aimless than he is angry, and he actually seems to like being a repo man.
Well, even when Duke is doing his death speech, I blame society. Society made me what I am. And Otto goes, "That's BS. You're a white suburban punk just like me." Yeah, I know, but it still hurts. I know.
I thought that was the funniest part of the movie. I actually laughed at that because his death scene is so dumb, and he's like,
yeah, it is like that.
He's having that speech, and then he's trying to be prophetic and all this stuff, and then it's like, well, yeah, but gurgle, splack, and then then he dies. That's Dick Rude for you.
Yeah.
We have a lot of.
I have to admit.
Okay.
I have to say, whenever I hear that, I blame society. Society made me what I am. All I can think of is the church police from Monty Python. That's all right. It's a fair cop, but society is to blame. Right. We'll be arresting them as well.
We have some special appearances by some very famous LA shooting locations, locations that will appear in films such as Roger Rabbit, to be fair, Bad Moon Rising, Sharknado, and Terminator 2. Yeah, this is one bridge, and I'm like, I am positive that's the bridge where Robbie Wrist bites it in the school bus in Sharknado 2.
Oh, okay. Is that the one when he gets sick and is throwing off of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that tunnel they go through, that tunnel was in Roger Rabbit. That's how you get to Toontown.
Yeah. Oh.
But it was also in Bad Moon Rising, a bad film with Tommy Lee Jones in it that had a car. The car was the only thing that was good in it. And Blade Runner and everything else. So, yeah, this is kind of prime LA, and it's like wherever we can get a shot for $50, we're going to shoot there. So that was kind of fun. Yeah.
Talking about Otto's character, though, every time you start to think maybe he's decent, when they're in the hospital, he has no trouble with Marlena and him, I guess, beating up a random doctor and nurse and taking their clothes.
Yeah. And I love how
doesn't bat an eye.
It's also weird because it's the only time I can remember in the entire film where he's suddenly wearing jeans. Like Otto usually has got he's got his work pants on, or his work pants from the supermarket. And now suddenly he's got the doctor jacket over jeans, which was weird. But yeah, I think once they get to that party at Miller's, which has hose in it for reasons, things start to just...
they're the Repo wives. Those women are all married to the Repo men.
Oh, sure they are.
Yep. That's what they say.
So that's where Angelique Pettijohn was. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. That's when things just start to lose cohesion and get weird, and suddenly the Rodriguez brothers are okay, and we don't really know what's going on. I can never tell. So part of the time too, she's not really his girlfriend, although he thinks she is. Layla is working with, I guess, some sort of subversive. We need to make the aliens information publicly known group, and then there's the bad blonde wig agents, and then sometimes there's kind of a crossover, and like, what is the metal armed woman? What is that?
She works for the government, whatever that is.
Sure.
But the Agent Rogers. Yeah, and Layla she's not really a character. She's a plot point.
Yeah.
You know, they have sex for reasons that baffle me, except I know Emilio Estevez is often considered very good looking, but he's so obnoxious to her.
Well, they also have sex at cartoon speed for no particular reason.
Yes.
I mean, literally, the only thing missing is yakety sax in that scene. It's so weird.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But, and she changes sides. She's like perfectly okay with torturing Otto to get information.
Yeah, more or less.
I'm glad I tortured you.
Yeah, it's a weird... The ending kind of falls apart. And then, of course, it turns out, and I guess this isn't that big a surprise, spoiler, is that Miller's an alien. Okay, sure.
Or something, yeah. We don't even know that. It's just he can control the glowing car and make it fly.
Roseanne Flotar.
We don't know if he's an alien or he's like... Maybe he's Repo Jesus. We don't know.
No, and they go flying off into the sunset, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. It doesn't really have an ending.
No.
It just stops.
But I have to say, the fingerprints of Mike Nesmith are kind of all over this.
How do you mean?
Well, there is a hint, a seasoning that feels very similar to the seasoning in Tapeheads, which was done by Pacific Arts, his production company, and his special elephant parts and television parts. There's this sort of very off-kilter, different brand of wackiness that Mike Nesmith... I find a connecting thread in projects he's got his hands in that I definitely feel here. Even if it was not written by him or directed by him, he was the big producer on it, the way he was the producer of those other films. And there is that avant-garde, what the hell kind of quality to them that I find similar. Whether it's well done or not, that works. That's for the end of the episode. But what other notes you got before we get to that part?
There are still so many lines and just little background jokes I do like. When they're having the fight in the in the repo yard, one of the government agents is screaming, "Not my face!" And then a moment later, you just hear, "Thwack, my face!" And they're breaking into a place, and there's a guard asleep in a glassed-in room, and you can see taped to the window is a handwritten note that says, "Guard inside, do not enter." Just everything is so cheap, and it's intentionally so.
Well, so was the 80s.
It's just such a That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Everything about it's showing everything, how crappy so many things were. You see so many homeless people in this movie, people just on the street. Bodies are being picked up and nobody bats an eye. There are people literally dying of radiation from this car, and it's like, how about that? Everyone is just overloaded and pissed off.
Yeah. The 80s were an interesting time. The way the government had changed, public attitude towards stuff, generic food. We all made fun of it at the time, mostly because I think we were sort of amazed that things had become this way. And in some respects, I got to say, this film really does show kind of more of the real 80s than the rock videos of MTV and stuff. The way that things were, I mean, because this is a point where New York was not doing well, New York City. The 70s and 80s were, I mean, I can't remember how many times New York defaulted on its loans and was going bankrupt and stuff. But we're at the height of...
also listed as the murder capital of America.
Yeah, and the graffiti situation was out of control. And things were just, like, basically the American dream, the atomic family, or whatever, nuclear family, all that stuff had basically gone through the entire process of a proof and now been proven to not be true. And that's sort of what the 80s was. It was basically saying, yeah, the 50s and 60s, not going to happen. That's not it. So in a way, this is a very real glimpse of the 80s. The problem is that there's certain metaphors it doesn't explain. So if you don't understand why they're there, you won't understand why they're there. So
yeah, that's fair.
But I know why we're here.
Why are we here?
We are here to decide if this film, Repo Man, actually holds up.
The finish.
So, Max, you saw it on videotape, which quite honestly might be the right way to see it.
Honestly, that's as 80s as it gets.
Yeah. What did you think then? Do you remember?
I enjoyed it. I remember just thinking it was so weird and out there and unlike most of the other movies I'd seen. You know, can I just jump in with this thing that Roger Ebert said about it?
Sure.
Said, I saw Repo Man near the end of a busy stretch of the movie beat. The 3 days during which I saw more relentlessly bad movies than during any comparable period in memory. Most of those bad movies were so cynically constructed out of formula ideas and commercial ingredients that watching them was an ordeal. Repo Man comes out of left field, has no big stars, didn't cost much, takes chances, dares to be unconventional, is funny, and works. There's a lesson here.
I was going to ask you how you felt about it now, since you haven't seen it in 35, 40 years.
Well, it's a very different perspective. I mean, now I've seen a lot of movies that take chances that are different, it kind of blends. But for what it was at its time, I think it's kind of remarkable. And I think it's actually I think it's very punk rock in that it defies expectations. It shoves narrative conventions in your face and then basically spits on them. It has a very weird, dark sense of humor. And it has, I think, a kick-ass soundtrack. I mean, come on. You've got Pablo Picasso on there from The Burning Sensations.
Yeah, I have one of those.
You know, we got
Painful Rectal
Black
Itch.
Flag in the Circle. Yep. I think for what it is, it's really well done. I don't know if I enjoy it that much anymore, but some of it still makes me laugh. So I think it's okay. I wouldn't say it's brilliant, but I still think it worked. What about you? How did it work for you as a first-time watcher?
I think I would have liked it better if I'd seen it in the 80s. I think that this might have had the ability to imprint itself like Tapeheads did, although Tapehead, was it Tapehead 80s or early 90s? I can't remember.
I think it was late 80s.
Yeah,
I'm not
88,
sure.
something like that. I think that it is very much a product of its time. That being said, I don't know if I would have got it in the 80s either. It's punk rock in a way, and in other ways it kind of isn't. It's punk rock in throwing up its attitudes and trying to open your eyes to certain things, but it doesn't really go that far. The only thing it goes far with is the whole alien thing, which is just bizarre. And I'm not even sure what that's there for, like what that represents. You know, I get Emilio Estevez's character. It's like, well, I've got everything I need. You know, I have a nice place to live and I don't have all the money I want. And, you know, I don't have disposable cash being handed to me, but, you know, I've got nothing to complain about, but I'm angry because everybody's angry. So there's a lot of people who wore punk like a fashion as opposed to actually, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that this film leans a little bit more in that direction because once he gets the job, he actually seems to calm down and be pretty reasonable, although he's, you know, repossessing people's cars. I think that it is a film of its time. I think it depicts its time very well, but I also don't know that it has much to say to today's society. And I think that in some ways it's actually a little slow. I think a real punk rock film would have been much more relentless and much more in your face. This is almost more like a series of vignettes about how to be a repo man, because for a long time that's all we do is, and we have no idea what the passage of time is here. And we honestly don't know anything about the characters, really. You know, we know, okay, we see Otto's house. Okay, we thought he lived with Kevin or wherever that party was going on, except that was Kevin's house, his parents' house, I guess. We really don't know anything about anybody. I think it's just, in a way, it does too good a job at portraying the shallowness of the decade. I don't think there's a lot.
The characters are very superficial, the whole end characterizations, but I think that might be intentional.
I just think it may have taken it a little too far because it leaves us with nothing to really care about at the end. Mostly just sit there and going, okay, the car flies off into space? Sure. Like, it's almost like we're going to show you this knowing that your reaction is going to be jaded because everybody's jaded about everything in the 80s. And I don't know if that's a particularly strong way to end a film. So I think today's audience, I don't think it would work.
Okay. That's fair. I think it might. I think there's still things to be found in it that people might enjoy.
You know what else people enjoy is our poll question. Max, would you go over that again for us and how people can answer it? I will now wait as Max scrolls to find out what his own poll question is.
I know what it is. I just don't want to I want to make sure I get it right. But I should be printing this on the bottom of my Doc Martens and stomping it onto people's faces. Woo!
Safety pin, safety pin.
Woo! Punk rock, punk
Can't
rock,
find
punk
it, huh?
rock, punk rock, punk rock, punk rock. I know it. What is a movie? Our question is, what is a movie that people can't believe you haven't seen? And to answer that question, I'm not going to tell you, because that's punk! Whoa! You should carve it into your skin with a safety pin.
Max.
Ow, that would hurt.
You're as punk as Vanilla Pudding. Just tell them how they can answer the question.
That's my rap name, Vanilla Pudding. Yep.
Your biography is soon to be on sale at Toys R Us everywhere.
Yep. That's me, Vanilla Pudding. Pudding, baby.
Just read the ways that they can answer the question.
Go ninja, go ninja,
Just read the answers.
What answers?
To how they can answer the question.
Oh, I'm not reading that. I know that. Yes, you can, of course, visit our website at maxmikemovies.com and leave us a comment. You can email us directly at maxmikemovies.com. You can find us on the Backbook Facebook. Back.
You actually said Facebook. Ha ha.
Yes, but it's hidden.
No, it's
That's
not.
Very punk. Under Max Mike Movies. You can also find us on Mastodon and Blue Sky, also under Max Mike Movies. And we are, of course, on the podcast app that is working its way into your brain right now.
No, it isn't.
And if you really want to be punk, you can call us on our hot punk rock punk line punk phone number at 617-398-7266 punk. But we are as we bid farewell to both Repo Man and our series about how we can't believe what we haven't seen. What are we moving into now, Mike?
Oh no, a giant monster.
Oh
yeah. We're going to watch giant
monster.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to watch giant monster movies because why not? Who doesn't like a good
kaiju, baby?
Yeah, kaiju to you too. Who doesn't like a giant monster movie? Maybe plenty of people, but there sure have been a lot of them, and maybe we'll try and figure out why we like to watch giant monster movies during this series. There's a lot to choose from, and quite honestly, there's tons from around the world in places you might not have realized had giant monsters. But next week is not one of those places, because I would like to watch, or rewatch in this case, a film that is kind of giant monster superhero, although the superhero has a weird name. I don't know if you remember this one. Do you remember the huge superhero Super 8?
Oh, wait, I thought he was a character from Schoolhouse Rock, like Math Rock.
No.
Super 8, teaching you the times table for...
No, I'm pretty sure he's a superhero, and he has a big 8 on his chest. And
there was Eighth Man.
No, that's
Tobor,
Tobor. No. This is different. This was a Steven Spielberg adjacent product by J.J. Abrams. And I'm pretty sure it's a giant monster movie with a big superhero called Super 8. And why maybe he has 7 brothers, and there's 7 brides.
What are his superpowers? What is it?
He has the powers of 8.
He's divisible by 4?
Yes.
Okay.
If you too don't remember the film Super 8, watch it with us and listen to our show next week, won't you? Super 8.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.